we have started with accounting and reporting systems, and even that we completed the first module of it. Now we'll be starting off with the second one. So now see, when we are talking about when you're talking about accounting per se, that's going to be your core function as an ACCA graduate. Accounting and auditing are going to be the two most important core functions. So any accountant or any finance professional that you talk about, when I'm saying a finance professional, I'm talking from a standard finance professional perspective. Like say how there is a chartered accountant in India, an ACCA in say Europe, UK, Middle East, how a CPA is there in US. So I'm talking from that standpoint. Accountancy and auditing are going to be the two most important subject matter for you guys, for all of us guys. And apart from that, all the other subjects that we learn, those are going to be add-ons. So you might be learning say management accounting, performance management. You might end up learning say law, tax. All these are add-ons. But as an ACCA, the core feature of yours is going to be accounts and then audit. So these are going to be the most important functions. And how do these functions interface with other functions of an organization? That's something that we touched upon yesterday. So here we'll be discussing about what are the various kinds of information that we receive in the accounting department and how do we treat each of these information. So this is roughly the entire KRA of a full-fledged, full-fledged accounting and finance department of an MNC or a large organization, where you have separate people for separate activities. So like say there will be a finance director, or whom you can also call as the CFO, finance director. So there is one person who heads the entire department. Under him, there will be a chief accountant whose basic KRA is going to be to keep the accounts, to see to it that the P&L and the balance sheet is prepared properly, to see to it that there is good amount of good amount of accuracy in terms of passing in journal entries, in terms of seeing to it that the ledgers are tallying. There's no issue with regards to finishing up with the financial accounting standpoint. And at the same point of time, auditor relationship. When I'm saying auditor relationship, see, if you are going to prepare the accounts, tomorrow if there is an auditor who's going to come and have a statutory audit done of financial transactions, you are going to be the person who's going to be responsible, right? Because you are the person who's going to understand what all kinds of entries have been passed for what purposes. So the chief accountant is going to have that role. The next role is going to be of a treasurer. Now, when we say a treasurer, as the word suggests, we had briefly discussed it yesterday also. So treasurer primarily means a person who's going to handle all the funds, be it from the raising standpoint, as a fundraising standpoint, say if the company intends to go for an IPO, or say intends to raise funds via equity dilution, or say debt funding, either of the cases. Or on the other hand, if the company has surplus funds, so where to invest, say into hybrid funds, mutual funds, AIFs, equities, wherever it should be invested, plus maintaining all the banking relationships, say whichever banks that you have your accounts with the managers and all. It's very important for you to have proper relations developed with them also, because what happens is tomorrow if you want a loan or if you want any banking facility, that particular responsibility is going to be under the treasury department. Plus at the same point of time, risk management with regards to internal investments as such of the company. The next is going to be a tax manager. Now, when I'm saying tax manager, he's going to take care of all the compliances. Say GST returns file करना है, TDS returns file करना है, income tax returns file करना है. पहले इससे ज़्यादा हुआ करता था. अभी all thanks to GST that has been cut down. Otherwise, it used to be VAT, service tax returns, VAT returns, excise returns if you are a manufacturer. So there were multiple returns. अभी क्या GST एक single return है, and GST के अलावा TDS होता है, income tax होता है, provident fund होता है, profession tax होता है. ये कुछ returns file करने होते हैं. Apart from that, advance tax वो income tax के अंदर ही आ गया. But they also need to plan कि how are you going to mitigate or reduce the tax burden on the company. So what are the various means that you're going to plan so as to reduce the tax outflow? That's going to be the role of the tax manager. And the last role is of a management accountant. So management accountancy, when we are talking about directors or board of directors wanting to have a day-to-day understanding of how the business is being run, they would want to know what is the status. कि यार last month में कितना sales हुआ, last month में कितना हमने profit किया, या फिर कौन से state में last month में ज़्यादा sales हुआ. So all these things, right? All these details are provided in the form of MIS reports, management information systems. So there is basically nothing but certain stereotypically curated reports that the management decides upon. That on a week-to-week basis, I'll require this. Say I'll require a cash flow statement on a week-to-week basis. I, as in the director, for example. So as to have an understanding कि कितना पैसा पड़ा हुआ है, कितना पैसा invest, कितना पैसा लगेगा अभी मुझे ये business चलाने के लिए. All those details के लिए. On a month-to-month basis, I would want to know what is the sales that my company did. What were the purchases that my company did? What was give me a structure or give me a sample of the P&L statement for the last month. So it will give the directors an idea of how the business is being run and whether they require any major intervention is required from their side. So that is from a management accounting standpoint. Plus another major responsibility is budgeting, forecasting and control. अभी budgeting आपको पता है हमने कल ही discuss किया था January to March के बीच में functional budgets होते हैं, right? Now the management accountants are going to prepare कि यार ये target ये हमने achievement किया है, इसके against ये budget था. से एक P&L बनाते हैं budget versus actuals का. This was the sales that we had targeted. As against that इतना sales हुआ. ये sales के लिए हमारे budgeted ratio के हिसाब से इतना हमारा gross profit margin आना चाहिए था. As against that इतना आया. So that is a comparison that the management accountant provides to the director, stating that what was the plan, what were the targets, vis-a-vis what was the performance that you guys did. Clear? Hello.
Yes, sir.
So these are. So he will have under him, each of these guys will have under them, say 2 or 3 people. Say chief accountant will have 3-4 people under him who will be passing in the journal entries, sales entries, purchase entries koi dekhega, bank reconciliation koi dekhega. So there'll be 3-4 people under him. Treasurer ke under there'll be a couple of people who will take care of working capital, AR/AP management and all. So 2-3 log treasurer ke andar rahega. Tax manager के अंदर 2-3 लोग रहेंगे जो ये returns वगैरह फाइल करेंगे, reconciliations करेंगे. Management accountant के अंदर एक आध बंदा रहेगा. Depending upon finally the size of the company. If the company's size is really big, each of these guys will become senior managers, and there'll be multiple roles as well as multiple people under them, or multiple hierarchies also under them. Now, what is the role of the finance director? See, finance director is not going to get involved into the day-to-day entries being passed or day-to-day whether the accounting is being done properly. He does not have the time. He will not be in a position to get into the details of the same. Although he needs to ensure that each of these activities are happening properly, but he cannot on a day-to-day basis enter किया review करते बैठेंगे कि ये लोग क्या काम कर रहे हैं. So what is he concerned with? What is the debt equity structure on a macro level? Whether the debt proportion is increasing. So whether we would have to pay off some of our debt, because then problem that will happen is हमारा overall fixed cost, interest cost बढ़ जाएगा. So even if there's a small slowdown in the business and our profits fall, we might not be in a position to pay off the debt, right? Financial measurement of commercial success in the sense, say if we are, if we have captured a particular market, or if we have become market leaders in a particular industry, then what is the total amount of profits? उसमें क्या difference हुआ हमारे profits पे? उससे क्या difference हुआ हमारे sales पे? Resource allocation, कौन से department में कितना पैसा देना है, marketing को कितना allocate करना है, sales budget क्या होना चाहिए, कौन से companies को acquire करना चाहिए, कौन से को divest करना चाहिए. Like just to give an example, recently, just 4 days back, we invested in a pre-series A funding in a particular startup that like I led it for my company, almost a 2.5 crores rupees ka investment in a Delhi-based tech startup that we invested in, which is primarily into say wheelchairs, walkers and all innovative products we manufacturing, which is similar to our industry. So we took in a good 20-25% stake in that particular company. So all these acquisitions, divestments, strategic investments and all are planned by the finance director. Dividend policy कि यार ये साल dividend देना है नहीं देना है, depending upon what kind of profits you made. Shareholder stock markets में क्या information बाहर जाना चाहिए, stakeholders लोगों के साथ relationships कैसे maintain होना चाहिए. All these macro level responsibilities will be of the finance director. Clear छे guys?
Yes, sir.
So see, the three major key functions. So there are a lot of add-on functions. See, what the problem with the finance department is, right? From a layman's standpoint, everything that has to do with money finally boils down to the finance department. So there is no clear definition of where the buck should stop when it comes to finance department's responsibilities. So finance department can take in responsibility or can be held responsible for anything where the money is involved, right? Finally. But there are three major key responsibilities of the accounting department. The first is, as I mentioned, the financial accounting part, journal entries and all.